Utility District number 60 monthly meeting. And call the order with a roll call vote. Bill Freeble.
Here.
Bob Lux is here. Donna McAleer
Here.
is here. Paul Shu
Here.
is here. Dale Walker.
Here.
Good, we have a quorum. We can begin with the opening invocation and the pledges of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you today as an assembled body. We humbly request that you bless our meeting, our community, and our nation. Help us to work diligently, always for the common good and in the best interest of those we have been elected to represent. Guide us to be insightful and prudent in our intentions, visions, plans, deliberations, decisions, and their fulfillment. Work through us to provide a spirit of welcome to all in attendance, to engage in respectful and thoughtful dialogue and discussion with understanding, wisdom, and humility. If you wish, prior to reciting the pledges of allegiance, please take an additional moment of silent prayer or reflection in the manner of your preference. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the United States flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay. Shelley, do we have any comments from the public today? Good. Do we have, pardon me, Ms. Peterson, do we have any adjustments from the brought before the district? None? Okay, thank you. Mr. Braderhall, please.
Mr. President, directors, our attorney, public, senior staff. My name is Arthur Bredehoff. I'm here today on one of your agenda items dealing with the MCAT election. Currently, I serve on the MCAT board representing the special purpose districts. In February, all the special purpose districts voted, and I was a nominee, and I won that election. That gave a seat into the big election. And today you're here to vote on the candidates in the big election. And I was able to get on the big ballot because of your support last month. And today I would ask for your support so I can have a better chance of winning the big election and represent the special purpose districts. So thank you for your time. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Arthur. Nice to see you.
When is the big election?
What is it?
Today.
Oh,
Today?
The MCAT election is, it's on your agenda for the MCAT election. And that's, the election would not only special purpose districts vote, but also the other taxing jurisdictions will vote. And all the votes have to be in by Friday, 5 o'clock to the Montgomery
21st.
appraisal district.
Okay, when is it? Where is it on our agenda?
It is.
I can't see it.
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay,
Number
thank
9.
you.
Yep, yeah. Okay, consent agenda goes from pages 1 to 12, I believe, maybe. Yeah, 12, yeah.
Just making sure I didn't miss anything. I got here too late.
Good. Are any questions? Hearing none, motion,
Yeah, motion to,
second? I'll second it. Did you catch that, Shelley? Very good. We have a motion and a second. Does further discussion on this matter? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay. Brings us to agenda item 9. Consider an act on the official ballot of special districts candidate for the Montgomery County Appraisal District Board of Directors and adaptation of a resolution in connection therewith. As you recall, we discussed this extensively last month. Do we need further discussion?
We already voted.
We didn't really officially vote, but we kind of,
We have our 10 votes here. Okay.
yeah,
We did.
yeah. That was kind of a preliminary. This is the official. And unless there's any change, I don't know that we need to go much further.
I can't remember the candidates beside.
Yeah.
Arthur.
They're all listed on page 16.
Arthur and Bruce. is
Oh, they're
how
on
we're
page
gonna-
16. That's where I was on 15. Okay, so we can still do what we did last month?
I would
do
say,
two-
yeah, I mean. that-
Two
this
votes
would be,
each for who we want to vote for?
It was 6 and 4.
we did 6 and 4.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
I mean,
We'll keep it the
can we
same.
just make a motion well, I guess we haven't done that yet, have we? What would be the proper order to, we should have discussion after the motion or before? I
We should
mean,
have discussion before the motion to
Okay.
determine how you want to allocate the
Okay.
10 votes, and then the
Okay.
motion is just to adopt that.
okay. Somebody want to bring that forward, as to,
I motion that since we have 10 votes for our MUD 60 and there's 5 of us, that each of us represents 2 votes. Is that a good
Mhm.
motion?
Yeah.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Do we want to, cast the votes, so that we can do that?
Sure.
Dale?
Okay.
Uh,
Can I split?
You can do anything you want. She said 2 votes. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
you can.
So, one for Arthur and one for Bruce Reiser.
2 for Bruce.
I am 2 for Arthur.
2 for Arthur. Yeah, I'll be 2 for Arthur as well.
Okay, so we have, last month we talked about it. It was a little bit different, but right now it's, we split them 7 and 3. Okay? So that's the motion and that's the split. All in favor, do we need any further discussion on this matter?
I don't think so. I think we discussed it fairly well last month.
Yes, ma'am, we did. All in favor of the 7-3 split between Arthur Bredehoff and Bruce Reeser, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You can leave now.
There's no representative from SJRA here this month due to conflicts of schedule. Is there anything that you could enlighten us with, General Manager Peterson, or does anybody have any specific questions?
Yeah, there's a water conference going on right now. I get,
The spring one? Is it the spring? No, it's not the spring.
Texas
AWB.
Water.
Oh, okay.
And so, you have any questions on their report? Well, they did submit their report in the packet. I'm happy to convey any comments you may have, questions.
The 29.
I had no specific questions.
I had just one.
Okay.
One. Can I borrow that a second? I didn't get my packet.
Here, you want me to bring us, please? No, go.
Plenty.
Okay,
You can use
I walked
mine.
right past it. Thank you.
killed the tree, might as well.
Well, like we said in Midland, it'd been a rattlesnake that had bit me. The breakout of the pie chart Let's go. I'm gonna get the
Where
page.
is it?
What page is that?
I'm trying to find it here.
So, okay.
If the pie chart shows the surface and the, there we go. Yeah,
Page
yeah, thank you very
42.
much. 42. And then it talks about the breakdown in terms of, that must be gallons, right? Not barrel. And then the asterisk is the green one, on page 42 at the top says remaining participants. Who is all that? Remaining participants.
Everybody else in the GRP.
There's everybody in the county?
No, in the GRP.
We have what's
There's 80, there's 80 members in the estuary GRP. And only what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are getting surface water. Everybody's getting some level of groundwater. The other colors are the ones getting surface water, and the remaining are the groundwater users. Everybody else.
Yeah, we're the orange, right? We're the orange.
Or the red or whatever.
Is it
that
red
is.
or orange? And then Quad Vest is this blue pie, and then Aqua Texas, is that purple? And then MSEC. And the city of Conroe has the big, whatever color that is. And then the remaining participants. I thought that would be an exclusion of the orange of the Woodlands. Anyhow, I was just wondering,
And so you're saying the Woodlands is only using 13% of groundwater? Is that how I'm reading that?
or the
Of the whole
total
use.
volume.
Use.
And that's groundwater. But see at the bottom,
Yeah,
our pie chart is a lot bigger. That's surface water.
Mm-hmm.
that's the Lake Conroe, it's the surface.
Right. So. But if you look at, if you compare the blue at the bottom, it would be a little simpler if the colors aligned with the entity on both. But the blue on the bottom matches with the orange on top, and you look 140 million versus 134 million. We're in that roughly 50-50.
50-50.
And usually in the winter, they're able to over convert surface for us.
Because
And
of water.
Well, because of
More water.
capacity.
Yeah.
And then over the summer, that's gonna start flipping to being a little bit more groundwater. With the end result over the year being 50-50.
Okay.
That's the goal, but you can't do it flat 50-50 all year.
Yeah.
So you do more surface in the winter and more ground in the summer. And it balances roughly to 50-50. But that's how you read those two charts.
Okay.
It's kind of the two pieces of our water.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is there? Oh,
Question,
go ahead.
I have a question on the infrastructure maintenance on page 31. I saw 2 lift stations. The pumps went out literally within 2 weeks of each other. Did that cause any service issues?
Any what?
Service issues? I mean, just
No.
moving the waste? The 2 lift stations go out? Okay.
Yeah, that's so. The design criteria from an engineering standpoint for lift stations is you have to design it with purposely with one pump out of service for capacity. So if one does go out of service, you've got the extra one. It's a built-in redundancy and it's mandated by design criteria.
But what I'm saying is there's 2. Now, probably.
Two different stations, two different
Okay.
stations.
Okay,
Yeah.
In
Now,
two different areas?
yeah, if it had 3 and 2 of them went out,
got it.
might have had to make some decisions quick.
Okay.
And you know, if you didn't have one off the
Okay.
shelf, you could rent them theoretically or see if the one could keep up for sure. You know, you'd have to figure that out but one going out, that wouldn't concern. That's pretty normal.
Don, you had another question?
Is there any update? I didn't know there was a grass fire, but it says there's something about a grass fire on page 48.
Yeah, we talked about that last meeting. There was a grass fire on the backside of the dam.
Okay.
That was, allegedly, started by a couple adolescents.
Oh,
They were caught.
vandalism fire. Okay.
It was controlled quickly and within the hour and
Well, the reason I'm asking, because we got
Well,
this,
I had sent the, I had
Okay,
sent
you had
that
sent
to,
this?
I had sent
Okay.
that to Ed, as you know. And I just wanted to present it to everybody, just number one, to let you know that I did have that communication. Ed's replies on the bottom, and if you have any other observations about this situation that you'd like to add to this, we can just record them and get them to Ed. And I don't think there's an imminent need for decision today.
do we do controlled burns periodically?
No, this is.
Do
the
we ever do
first.
controlled burns?
This is a-
Not
to our
here,
knowledge.
but in Sam Houston, the National Forest. And then, Sam Houston, they don't do it in the state forest anymore. But definitely in Sam Houston, because we've been up there before. And, they put up signs and there's warnings and then, they have a pretty big presence of personnel. And then the, National Forest personnel are trained specifically in controlled burns. Beyond, I think, well, similar to a fire department. And I think sometimes volunteer fire departments are helping the National Forest. And they do it to get rid of the fuel, basically, and also to help the trees grow better.
Right, because it's kind of Mother Nature does it with lightning strikes.
And it was always historically an important part of the ecology.
Mhm.
Burns were always part of the, for example, wild plums can't exist almost without, they have to have fire because they're the understory. And eventually you lose all those kinds of things for the wildlife and for, it looks like a Bradford pear, except a lot shorter. But it's required. I mean, it's necessary to keep a healthy ecosystem. So far as if they do this in the woodlands,
Where would they do it?
yeah, you would, yeah,
Well, this would only be on the
the
dam.
dam, yeah.
That's the only, the part that they are mentioning. It happened unintentionally,
Mhm.
but the results have been pretty positive.
Yeah,
You just wanted to know if we wanted to proceed with it
Mhm.
routinely in an organized fashion.
Well, I remember on a trip to San Antonio, we went and watched a movie at one of the missions or whatever, and they said that the Native Americans would do controlled burns
yes,
on purpose.
absolutely.
And they said it would get rid of the thatch and the prickly stuff, and then the grass would grow better, and that would attract the deer and the bison so that they could hunt those. So they would do that. And then that was all stopped by the US government, you know.
Well, and the bobwhite quail, among other
The
things.
quail, and then now you don't have the grasslands, you have just, thatch and crud and everything growing everywhere.
Well, that was Ed's observation and he just posed it as a question. I sent him those questions, which I'm sharing with you.
Mhm.
And if you have anything more, just either get back to me or send them directly to
Right.
Eric. And then we can discuss it when we have SJRA
Right.
representation
I
next
think the
month.
concern is because of those horrible fires in Palisades and Maui and South Carolina and North Carolina, and then you're gonna tell the residents, oh, we're gonna do a burn here.
Well,
I think people would get nervous even though it's part of the normal ecosystem.
They just have to make sure that, you have the, fire department to assist you in that way. And then notice,
Because they do backfires and they put them in different directions depending how the wind blows, so they can keep it from jumping and spreading and where you don't want it to go.
you need nice humidity, no wind.
Oh, well, that's windy right now.
Exactly.
It's not a good time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had these, we are not in the window to do them anymore.
No, I was driving back from San Antonio last night and all I saw on the super highways is that red alert for fires,
Mhm.
fire warnings in San Antonio because of the wind and the dry humidity and so I'm like, oh yeah, this is not good.
yeah, no. Well,
Actually, you can go to the website, National Forest will, post them on their website. We'll let you know where and what track they're doing it. It'd be interesting to see. I doubt that they're doing anything now. And if they had anything, it's probably canceled.
So if we don't have any further discussion on the SJRA report,
I think it's a good question.
thank you. And if you can add to them or everything's fine, good. We can move along to agenda item 11, I believe. General Manager Peterson, Bear Branch, Panther Branch, Research Forest.
No update this month. Engineers still working through the summary that they were asked to do from the stakeholders. So we should have that pretty soon and call us a new stakeholder meeting to discuss.
Great. Agenda item 12, Attorney's Report. Gordon, nice to see you.
Well, the only thing I have to share with you, Brian, let me know that at the most recent trustees meeting, he went through a list of some of the currently active bills that are making it their way through the legislature. So if any of you are interested in what's going on, that video is a good resource to see. Just preface, not preface, but qualify this with it's still very early in the process. So not everything discussed will make it, and some of them will be radically changed.
Are there any that we have to duck and cover over?
There's one interesting one that Eric explained this morning that he was actually in Austin to testify against yesterday. And it's regarding adding the utility providers like MUDS to the 811 system.
Is that emergency?
That's the line location for
Oh,
contractors,
okay.
correct?
Yes, and for Class A utilities, which would be gas, electric, fiber, telephone, well, I guess we don't call it telephone anymore, but those types of utilities are Class A. Those are required to be a part of the 811 system. So what that is if a contractor is ready to dig somewhere,
Mhm.
they would call 811 and request for the utilities in the location in the area of their dig to be located. That's when you see, you've probably even seen a guy walking around with this wand looking thing
Yeah.
and throwing little flags on the ground and marking it with paint.
Mhm.
And in those types of utilities are marked, the pipe itself is marked with what's called a trace wire. So they're able to pinpoint exactly where that line is to tell the contractor where it is. Water and sewer doesn't have that. So one of the dilemmas with, this is kind of an unfunded mandate to a certain degree.
To retrofit.
Well,
Well,
it was suggested.
Oh
and,
my goodness.
Well, you wouldn't probably retrofit. You could change design criteria going forward, but going back.
And at the depths the pipes are in.
Well, some of the representatives made comments like, don't you think it's time for municipalities to figure out where their stuff is? That comment was made. And I said, well, it's when I've got, 400 or 500 miles of water and sewer line, you'd have to pothole, you'd have to dig
Yeah.
everywhere to truly, I mean, on a water line, you can line up, you can look and see manholes and you can pretty much line it up and we could go do GPS. We could GPS coordinate the entire woodlands. And we could triangulate things with manhole lids and with what we call A boxes or valve boxes, because those are right on top of the water line. So you could roughly get it better. But if we were able, well, we wouldn't even be able to, like when a few years ago, when we were having a lot of trouble with the fiber boring companies.
Packus.
I wasn't gonna name, but,
Well,
but you did.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's part of the record.
it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's part of the record.
So one of the things that we found, and the 811 ticket actually says, there's a disclaimer on the bottom. Water and sewer is not identified within your call, within the 811 call. You need to call the local water provider to get them to, or whoever else to get them to locate. Well, they don't always do that, even though they know. And there's no penalty if they don't necessarily make the call. The legislators' points is, well, if I just put you in it, then I don't have to do the disclaimer and they got to call you anyway, which makes sense on the surface. But what we found with that situation was when we would actually go out in the field and have a meeting with the contractor and know where they were and say, look, it's about right here. So, because you have to identify it within 18 inches, which if we just went out there blindly, we may not be able to even do that. It would take a minute to try to figure out, okay, the drawings say it's roughly here, and so our argument, and there was some of the opponents are rural folks that, they don't have staff. This would probably require hiring staff to do locates. It would require that the municipality pays the 811 fees. So anytime a contractor wants to work at the Woodlands, y'all would pay for us to locate the lines for them, to put their lines in. And one of the arguments was, well, they're the ones that are private entities that are gonna make profit off this. Why don't they pay the fee? Why should it be the municipality's, responsibility? So, we were in opposition. I spoke with 3 other water district industry colleagues in operations, and, we'll see where it goes.
What is that? Is it a House bill or a Senate bill or
House
both?
Bill 1335,
1335.
filed by, Representative Gertie's, Stan Gertie's out of, I believe, the Giddings area. And it's coming from a wrath of, pipe breakages and contractor hits in Austin and that area. So it's a heightened subject over there. Of course, all of the water providers that spoke yesterday talked about that we've all gone through this. What the Woodlands went through was not special. Everybody that those companies are trying to extend fiber to are experiencing the same thing
They're just
that we did.
breaking everything.
To your knowledge, was there a corresponding Senate bill?
There's talk of something similar, but they said no, officially no, but I think there may be.
Okay.
There may be, but it's not the direct, it wasn't a direct tie to this one.
I know that Brian told us this last week. When does it close for a submission of bills?
Last Friday,
Last Friday.
it's closed, I believe.
So does that mean that a Senate bill can't be included along with this?
I don't think so.
If it's closed for both, then yes, but I'm not sure it really matters if there's a corresponding
Okay.
Senate bill. But
Okay.
I think this got introduced pretty last minute, so I doubt there would be a.
Okay. And then it's still got to go through committee and get submitted to committee and run through the committee.
Well, this was a committee hearing that I testified at.
Did they take a vote? It didn't pass through.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Was the majority of the testimony? Oh, there was a lot
It
for
was
it.
poor, oh,
There was several both. And
Really?
it was mixed. Yeah, it was very interesting. There was a boring contractor that was for,
Of course.
there was 811 was for, a big lobbyist that has a contracting firm or is owned by, you just kind of follow
the money.
Follow
the money that they were for. Saws and Saws was opposed. And then San Antonio River Authority was neutral, but spoke more negatively, but was officially neutral. All 4 of us were opposed. A number of other folks were opposed. Texas Rural Water Association was opposed. It's kind of mixed.
That's a lot of votes. I mean, Texas Rural Water's got a lot of members.
Yeah, sitting there, I felt like from just the vibe from the members was the train's on the track.
Hmm.
But we'll see. The train's on the track, but maybe we can rewrite some things in to address some of these concerns, that's what the chairman actually made a point to, he kind of, and it was while I was up coincidentally, but he had been quiet for a lot of the day, but he had kind of a long response of, it's time we ought to work together to figure out the right wording on this thing, kind of message to the room who was left. We were there for over 4 hours waiting for our turn.
Oh,
Long day.
Gordon, you have anything else?
Yes, sir.
That's it. Further questions for Gordon? Okay, agenda item 12, you're on a roll, General Manager Peterson.
All right.
Agenda item 13, please.
Sure.
trustee.
Well,
General Manager.
building improvements continue, as you can see.
Nice TVs.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed.
Nice TVs.
Yeah.
We get a discount too.
That's right.
See, that's nice. If we have, any visitors, they can see
Yeah.
the agenda. They don't have this. They
Really
can see
sharp.
that.
You do the computer thing, you know?
Well, they do that at the Woodlands Township meetings too. They have the TVs
Yeah,
up.
there's a TV in the hall outside, so you can see it and speakers, so that if we had a big meeting, and have to close the doors, we can broadcast it live out in the hall. We're going to, we're gonna play content, customer, related, messaging and content out in the hall.
PowerPoint was
Kind of,
going.
yeah, kind of running, yep.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes there. Next, we're gonna build kind of a customer educational interface in the lobby to kind of show them what water infrastructure apparatus really look like. Like, so we'll have examples of what a water meter looks like and what different ones over the decades, and then cutaways of some pipe and what a cleanup looks like. A flush fire hydrant, flush valve, a valve, an A-box for valve. So we'll have a lot of different water examples.
We got enough room.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty aggressive.
Blank cases. Yeah, well, I think it would be beneficial for the community to learn about, you know, we often, and we will have probably a little write-up on, in front of each of the pieces on what it is. So, because a lot of people, they say if they're having, you know, a sewage problem, a lot of people don't understand, you open the clean out, you know, to protect yourself. They don't even know what that looks like, or where to find it. But if you asked them, you have a little, white square looking knob sticking out of your grass, they know what that is. They've seen it when they landscape, you know? So it's just kind of tying that together so that, we can educate folks on knowing what their water infrastructure is all about. So more on that. Let's see here. Did attend my first GRP meeting. And as I mentioned last month, I did give a report to the trustees, and then a summary of that, what I gave is in the trustee report in your packet. So you'll see kind of how that went. James Korn was voted as chair and I was voted as vice chair of the committee. And there's more details than that, and I won't go into. And then we have continued, Kim and I have continued to meet with Brad Hauk as we committed to do to the mud. So we'll continue to keep those meetings rolling.
That's 67.
Okay.
What he just spoke of. Sorry.
We did, we are continuing to run through asset collection on the ditches, condition of the ditch and piping, et cetera, throughout the ditches. We are going to start moving on a few construction related matters of things that we've found that are, I would call more serious in nature. So one of which is N16. We've got enough across all the muds that we're just going to get rolling on a few of these. One that we've encountered here recently is up off of Grogan's north of Research. There's a ditch, there's a portion of 60 that goes up there, and there's a ditch that has a pretty significant sinkhole. So there's some box culverts that cross the road, and those are leaking pretty significantly and have a couple pretty good sized sinkholes.
What's leaking in?
Box culverts.
Okay.
Yeah, so the roadside ditch piping ties into the sides of the box culverts in 4 locations on both sides of the road, east and west, north and south of the ditch and road. And those tie-ins are all leaking. So one of them is significant. One of them's starting to get there, and we know the other 2 are close behind. Because you're basically putting a round pipe into a box culvert. So it looks like they chipped away. And then a lot of times you'll fill it with brick and then order it, and doesn't look like it was really done very well. So it's just a matter of time until it goes through, and now's the time. So coincidentally, the box culverts themselves are heavily silted in as well. So we're going to try to do a little bit of clean out after we get these, those connections, shored up, get the sinkhole stopped and clean out
Will
the
that be with WWA staff or will that be a subcontract?
subcontractor. We may do part of the siltation removal and have them do the heavier excavation and repair. So we may do bits and pieces of it.
So the box is okay itself?
Yeah, it's just coming from those tie-ins, 4 tie-ins from the website.
That's gonna be our expense.
Or do we have 100% or it just depends on the mud that's near that?
100%
Okay.
And that's ours.
in that particular location.
If project superintendent here, that'd be handy to oversee, I think.
So we're working on that. Speaking of that as well, the drop structure project that we've talked about for a year or so, it's been in design and bid. A couple months ago, we had the pre-construction meeting out in the field today and met with the contractor. And that was the portion where you have 10% and Mud 7 has 90%. Right off the southwest tip of that square 7.
Green, yeah.
Yeah, your 10% is that little yellow pod.
Yeah, that's a gated community there.
Yeah, and the ditch is right off the tip of 7 there. So there's a drop structure right in that area that failed a couple years ago. And so it had been designed, the fix, and then advertised bid as required. And we got really good bids, the good news. I think we had around 500 or so $1,000 in the estimate. 750 was in your budget for engineering, engineering, design, construction, construction management, and et cetera. It bid at 218, which was fantastic. We will likely have some change order ads because from the time that it was designed till now, there's been significant threat damage. The design, it was getting worse as the design was occurring. So there will likely be some change orders, but we still think we'll have plenty of money to get
The
to.
contractor that you have experience with.
Oh, yes, yes. And we brought that to you, I think in January.
Keen, right? Is that the name of it?
Yeah. Ellen McKean. I worked with them personally over the years, several projects, great contractor. Great price, great contractor. So, have full confidence. But like I said, the conditions have gotten worse since the design was complete. So there's gonna be a little bit of extra work that was discussed today. The NTP notice to proceed will be March 31st. And then they'll have a little time to be able to mobilize. And then shouldn't take too long once they get in there.
What do you think you can get after that work off of Research Forest and Grogan's Mill? Does that have to go through a design or is that
No,
field design?
no, it's just a repair item that needs to occur.
Maybe this Mr. Keene could do that as well.
No,
That's not his avenue.
no, we have our go-to contractors for that type of stuff.
Good.
Let's see, what else? There are some dates set for the All-Muds meetings for the wastewater treatment plant updates and the AC stuff. And so the dates are April 1st, May 8th, and June 10th. And each of those All-Muds meetings, they'll be in the evenings and they'll be at the community center across the street.
5:30 and.
And then we all the directors,
5:30, that's right.
5:30. And so we, it's all the MUD directors.
So Ed had reported a month or so ago that the first meeting would be the initial report from Barolo on the treatment plant. And then for the condition assessment, and then they'll move forward with the May meeting, and then the June meeting will be kind of the closeout discussion, any further questions. And then we'll probably roll into the AC discussion at that meeting. Well,
The May 8th won't be HDR then specifically?
not HDR, it'll be more from the treatment plant.
And then June 10 will be like a summation of the previous two. And
Correct.
perhaps some added
Any
information.
any lingering questions, and then roll into the AC HDR presentation. Next, community work group meeting is on May 2nd. And, that'll be the third meeting. They're going pretty well so far. We've had great attendance and, good conversation about how much work and things are funded and all that. And so next meeting, we'll talk a little bit about, the active projects that are going on and what's coming, in general. We already talked about Austin. Drop structure, and I think that's it. for me. I was gonna, kick it over to John for communications. Anything but
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right time to ask this, but thank you for including this in the packet. Are we gonna talk about this? or-
The lawsuit,
Yeah,
they,
I mean,
We
the
unfortunately
long
don't
and
have a
winding
representative
road.
from SJRA.
can you talk about this, or we have to have someone from SJRA?
there's nothing to talk about. The article just says that Conroe looks to
To
be
settle.
focused to settle. I mean, that doesn't say anything more than that.
How will that affect us? I mean, Mud 60 and, I mean, because I actually got asked this question. I was walking around and people are walking their dogs and I said, I was being asked about, they're gonna settle the lawsuit. And I said, yeah, I've heard that this is ongoing. I said, but I didn't know that are they that close to settling it?
Yeah, there's been some back and forth behind the scenes,
Okay,
that I can't go into.
sure.
But due to I mean, based on this article, it looks like, and I know that my understanding is, city council for Austin did, or for
Conroe.
Conroe, did instruct, leadership to, to try to get to some resolution.
How about if we put this on for agenda for full discussion next month?
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because right now, without an SJRA rep here.
that's a good point.
And I'll tell you, they're not gonna be able to go into any
Yeah.
specifics, not until things are really settled.
Yeah.
I know but there's definitely some conversation back and forth. That's what. they'll
Okay,
tell
that's very well put, because
We'll do that. We'll just ask them for
I like an
whatever
update.
update they can provide.
Right, okay.
Thank you, sir.
And before I,
John?
kick it to John real quick, you might have noticed a pretty, significant change in our report. Hopefully.
I did.
If you read it. Hopefully you, enjoy the new format. We put a lot of work into reformatting it, and adding a lot more information than
There's a lot more.
that we typically. So if happy to continue to fine tune the formatting, but, just let us know if you have any suggestions. We'll be happy to adjust, but just trying to capture all of the things that we do behind the scenes. And I didn't feel like we were doing a very good job of telling you what we're actually doing in many cases. And so this gives us an opportunity to share a little bit more information, be even more transparent in everything that's going on. So.
So, yeah, is this all on your shoulders now? I'm talking to Kim.
I mean,
I just showed up. What is this?
I kind of threw the template together and then handled the operations part and then leaned on Maureen and Jeannie and Shelley to kind of fill in their part. So I kind of tagged their names on it. And so,
Starts on page 51,
yeah.
by
So
the way,
51.
is what we're talking about.
I actually read it twice.
It's really easy to read. Good job.
More information in here than that I quickly read, so it's great. Well done.
I've done it without the team. So,
All right,
Mr. Geiger?
I just got a quick one for you today. Page 62 is the start of your report. You'll notice as you look through there that we're shifting our focus to water quality for the next 3 months. So annual reports, we're continuing to push those out. So I'm going to let that run, and then I'm going to bring metrics forward to you next month and how that landed, the impact from that. So far, really positive, good open rates on the email. On page 63, Eric, I think as you heard last month, was going to present to the township board. He did do that, and that was picked up in the township e-newsletter and by Hello Woodlands. So there was some good press on that. We also had a couple nice pieces there. You can see on 64 in the Woodlands Community Magazine on how to lower your water bill. You can QR that if you missed that one. Then right below that, we had something in Woodlands Online on water renewal and our transparency efforts. The project sheets, getting more information out through that dedicated website. So that's a nice long piece there. You can QR that if you haven't seen it. The upcoming water bill ad is going to be on the defined irrigation schedule. So you're going to see a lot more sprinklers out there running. You don't need to water your lawn yet. We do a lot of messaging on letting folks know when the right time is and how much, of course. That's a big focus of our conservation efforts, and reminding folks that the defined irrigation schedule is always in effect. It's not a temporary program. So we're continually reminding folks about that. And then our outreach calendar there is starting to fill out. We got a number of things coming up. We're going to be out at the farmers market here on Saturday. I'll be out there. We've got a nice big township annual event, the emergency preparedness event on April 12th. And Eric's got a few upcoming speaking engagements as well. And with that, any questions?
Yeah, so when you go to the Rubenville, you have a booth or
We do.
a table and just handouts and answer questions and.
Yeah, we do. We have a number of educational pieces we provide. We have a number of ways to get folks to come talk to us. And then we just start conversations, see what their interests, their questions are, and just go from there. And we usually have some giveaways for them, like irrigation gauges, guide packs, things like that, that they can take home and help save water. Yeah,
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John. And Donna, thank you for attending the community working group as our representative.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Let's see, did you get into the trustees, Eric? I believe you were all encompassing, were you not?
I think so. There was, trustees approved, the main thing was the
Yeah.
trustees approved the budget amendment to extend the Holloway contract to continue the community work group and the renewal campaign, and then the true up of the WWA reserves, the two main parts.
Is the Holloway supposed to be just annual or just when you reapprove that?
No, it was,
Contract?
no, the reason we brought it up is because the original contract was part of the SGRA budget. And so originally the contract was with SGRA and Holloway. And last year or sometime last year, we pulled it to manage it ourselves. But the contract stayed with SGRA, still in your budget. And that contract was expiring at the end of April. So
This year, okay.
this year. So this budget amendment would get to an extension from May through the end of this fiscal year, which would be the end of September.
Okay.
And then we'll have to evaluate at the next budget cycle whether or not it's appropriate to continue on with them or not. Just probably depends on what happens this summer.
And they're part of the community working group, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes, that's Cindy and that's right, Connor and the other ones you've met there. They're the ones that are helping put all the content together and really doing a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes, putting those PowerPoints and all this stuff. I know I do a lot of talking in it, but they do a lot of the building of the heavy lifting of the content. We work together on that, but that was it.
Any other questions for General Manager Peterson? Okay, that brings us to, we don't need to go to private recess session. Gordon, I didn't think so. Need to reconvene. Discuss matters for placement on future agendas. Eric, what would be the right way to do this on SGRA's normal receive and regular monthly report? Just put specific bullet points to talk about burn control and SGRA GRP update, or should we make them indeed separate, agenda items? Those two.
Are we anticipating any necessary action related to them?
I don't think so. Do you? Well, I mean, SJRA wanted our input about the, controlled burn, but that's nothing formal.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can handle them under their normal report. We'll word it however.
Yeah, let's just put some bullet points down there just so we don't forget, okay? Something like that, some way. Any other?
Yeah. Page 68. We had a little bit of discussion around this last time. I apologize. I don't remember the result. Might be something for Maureen, but that excess fund for us is 567,000.
What page are you on?
68.
Or
The trustees voted to
Oh,
return that back to each of the MUDs.
Where is that on?
Right
60?
here.
portion of
Top
it.
left corner.
Top left, oh, right here. Oh, there's MUD 60. Oh, down here.
But where does that, when it comes back in, where does that money go?
It's gonna go to other revenue.
Okay.
We'll book it to other revenues.
Is it
You'll
in
see
there
that.
now?
I'm sorry?
Is it in there now?
Yeah.
No, I
We'll
wouldn't
probably
think so.
offset there's bulk water sewer payment,
Okay.
but I will book it separately. So you'll see that in your statement of revenues and expenditures.
So they have to get it approved by their board, which is this, the fourth Thursday, which would be the 27th. So it's not approved yet. I mean, that's the recommendation that nothing's changed from what the trustees approved in February. Everything's leading to staying on that path that you're gonna get the refund.
Okay, very good. That's it. Anybody else have anything? Meeting's adjourned. Oh, you need something?
Yeah, I was talking with another MUD director and they're talking about maybe providing contractor technical reports in advance for us to look at before our meetings. When, for the concrete, we're going to talk about it, the all MUD meetings anyways, but then if we're going to vote on something at each monthly meeting, is there anything that they can give us ahead of time before our actual meeting? If contractors are, doing work like on the sewage treatment #1 plant or replacing the concrete pipes and all that, because we get a lot of data and then it's like right at the meeting and we're trying to digest all that. Could we have a little more time on that?
We'll have 3 months to go through it with 3 all MUD meetings to go through
Okay.
all of that. So there'll be plenty of time to go through it.
Okay, so we won't be surprised with a big dump here right
Maybe the
before our
first meeting
meeting.
you will, but, cause whatever, I think Ed answered that question at the trustee meeting that that he would provide whatever information that the engineering firms that are doing the analysis,
Mhm.
whenever they can provide it, he'll provide it.
But bottom line is, before we sit down as a group on our monthly meetings, we'll already have that in our hands because of those 3 meetings, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's just want to make sure
The
that.
first all MUD meeting is April 1, so that's
Yeah.
well before, your April meetings.
Okay.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very